Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katy Huff with Katy Huff Ministries. I am so excited to be with you today because I have an amazing guest, Cindy Soto, that you're going to just love because I fell in love with her when I saw her on Facebook. And I just want to make sure that you know where to see this. So follow me on YouTube and subscribe. Hit that button, YouTube, and subscribe, Katy Huff Ministries. The other places that you're going to find us is obviously on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Rumble. We are everywhere. We want to get our message out to setting people free. And so I am just thrilled to be able to bring to you Cindy Soto out of the state of California, who has a coaching program called Me First Now. And so here is Miss Cindy Soto. Cindy, tell all these people who you are, what your background is, and how did Me First Now become a reality?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I am super honored to be on with you, Miss Katy. I was very, very happy when you asked me to share. You know, it's all about empowering women, for me, families, and learning to start over. And so yes. I'm Soto. I'm out of Elk Grove, California. My background actually is in law enforcement. 20 years in law enforcement. I was a 911 dispatcher for much of my career. However, I had I had a passion to, help women because after divorce, after going through merging families, we all need some help, right? Navigating through life challenges. Even if you don't move towards divorce and you're just navigating through your relationship, we need help. Everyone needs somebody to lean on. Right. And so I found myself getting remarried back in 2007 to the love of my life back then. He had 4 children. I had 4 children. And wow. We basically merged them together.
You were bigger than the Brady Bunch, girl.
Right. We actually were cast for interracial Brady Bunch back then. And
That's great.
We did a month of test tape. It was back when Kate went 8, Kate 8 or something was very popular. She actually overtook us, so we didn't get piloted. But yes, it was a time in my life where I realized, wow, I am embarking on something I didn't really know how deep it was going to go. So we merged families quite quickly. And we would take the next 7 years, mentoring the kids. I would be coaching them. We would be all over the map. I was a mom that had multiple hats. I know a lot of us can relate. But I wore multiple hats, meaning I put myself last. And so my kids were always number one. My husband was always number one. Unfortunately, as we all can relate, we're not perfect, right? And our families go through things. Kids have issues. Husband has issues. I have issues. And so I navigated through a lot. And I'm sure we'll get into some of it today. Of course, not all of it. So, it's a lifetime, but
there's always a second chance to come back, girl, and third and fourth. So don't worry about that.
Amen. So I would take this next journey in my life, being a co-parent, a new wife, a mother, a bonus mom. I don't use stepmom. You'll always hear me as bonus mom. And I would take this next 10 plus years navigating through the ups and downs of that. Where I am today is I took all of that, plus coming from a background of a bonus family where I had a fantastic bonus mom, a fantastic bonus dad, and bonus stepsisters or bonus sisters and brothers. So I would take all of that knowledge, all of the knowledge I learned over my 10 years being married and merging the families into what I am today with Me First Now. And wanted to take all of that and embrace it and really put it into a safe place for women and families starting over. to get a chance to be heard, because a lot of the times we are silently crying behind closed doors. We're dealing with things, issues, not just internally. We're dealing with our partner's issues, we're dealing with our kids' issues, and then everything, all the outside forces, families. It could be, from school, work. There's so many issues that we're navigating through in daily life that we are on autopilot.
Right.
And when we look up, kids are grown, they're out of the house, or they're navigating their issues as an adult, and we're trying to help them now be a great adult, and we're still pushing ourselves aside. So that's where I birthed Me First Now. It was about time. I actually, after 13 years of marriage, we divorced. And it was a time for me to reflect on, okay, it's time for Me First Now to come to the surface. It's time for people to hear my story.
Nice.
And that is where we are now.
Awesome. Well, that's what this whole podcast and platform is about, is setting yourself free. And this podcast obviously is encouraging men and women to be set free from whatever is holding them back from being, doing, and having all that God created us to be. And so what do you think you are setting yourself free from? You've already explained setting yourself free from the 13 years, and now you've birthed Me First Now. So maybe that's what you set yourself free from, is being the last in the line, maybe to the first in the line. I don't know. Why don't you share with us what you're setting yourself free from?
Absolutely. Great question. So yes, there was a lot of limiting beliefs I had, but a lot of things that I had to set myself free from. Right. And a lot of it was guilt. I had mommy guilt. I had guilt of being a bad mom if I left this marriage. I had even during the marriage, I had to set myself free that I couldn't do it all. I couldn't be that super mom that took the kids to practice, did their homework, had their lunch ready. I was, doing it all and working a full-time job. So I had to set myself free from that guilt that I felt, that shame that I felt, fear of how everybody else would think of me, fear that people were talking like, well, she got herself into this, so what's the problem? Now you're complaining? And a lot of people do that behind closed doors, and even our loved ones. They're thinking we're crazy.
Yeah, or you shouldn't do that. I always tell people, don't you should on me. I shouldn't do this, or shouldn't do that, or should do this and should do that. No one has the right to should on you.
Yes. And, and a lot of it was, I married the love of my life, like I said, and the fear and the guilt of, I had a failed marriage. I was raised where you give it your all. You don't give up. You just keep going. And to actually say I'm done, it was that empowerment that I could do it, but also the letting go and grieving that marriage, that process. It's a whole process. So, and then, not be able, I had to let go of, I'm not a fixer. I'm a nurturer. A lot of us women are nurturers by nature. I had to set myself free that I can't fix everybody.
Right.
I have to put my mask on first, and then I can help others. And that was in itself really powerful. And then the last thing I'll say is overwhelm. I had to let go of being overwhelmed and start putting Cindy first in order for me to even begin the healing process. Right.
So I always say, God first, me second, and everybody else third, because if we don't take care of us, we're not going to be worth anything to the husband, to the children, to the grandchildren, to your business. So I applaud you for realizing that Me First Now has birthed, and it's important to do that. And so can you share this sequence of events that you went through to obviously finally realize, okay, I'm putting the oxygen mask on me first before I save everybody else?
It's been a journey, and I'll tell you, it's not overnight. You have to give yourself permission to go through the process. And I'll be honest, and in the very beginning, I was all over the map. I was trying to just have resolution quick. And there's no quick fix. It's time. It's time to heal, time to grieve, time to process everything. You just, when you go through something, regardless if it's 13 years or 13 months or 13 hours, you have to go through a process to let go.
Right.
And I had to stop and take time for me. So the last 3 years, that's what I did. I unplugged, and all my children are grown now. I have, bonus grandchildren. I have one, my daughter just had a brand new baby, Halo. I love her to death. She's 4 months old, but I had to unplug. I had to realize that they got it. They're adult children. She's a mom. She has it. She's going to take care of it. You raised her right. You did all you can.
Yes.
It's time for you. So I had to unplug. I spent a lot of the last 3 years traveling, not just to enjoy myself or have fun. It was about unplugging. It was about putting me back into the equation and how life looks now for me and what it looks like moving forward. So that's what I did. I unplugged. I focused on me, but I also focused on personal development.
Right.
Personal development. This could not have been an easier journey for me, right? So I had to find what resonated with me. Meditation was super key. And just asking permission. One of the key things that gave me peace of mind is I asked my kids, and I told my kids, thank you for allowing mom to unplug.
Yeah.
Thank you for being the awesome kids they are, for you not making me feel guilty for unplugging, because that comes, we have guilt as moms, as parents.
Yeah.
If we do anything for ourselves, God forbid, we are going to get tormented by our family.
Right.
But actually, they're like, Mom, we got this.
Yeah.
We're okay. Go do your job. It's your time. And that is so powerful, and helped me to really spend these last 3 years after divorce finding me again.
What a beautiful blessing to give yourself permission to do what you need to do to recover from this, 13 years of giving unconditionally until you're almost ready to drop. And I'm sure there was many days that you did just drop into bed because of all of the things that you're juggling, and we're all multitaskers. So what experience did you have where you felt like, for me, that, I say that God will never leave me or forsake me? Where were you when you knew that you were not alone in this journey?
Super powerful. Well, I went through a very long process, the last actually 8 years. I knew my marriage was over in 2016. However, we as a couple decided we were going to try and navigate through the next, 8 years or 7 years of just trying again. But that brought on a lot of depression, anxiety, a lot of medical issues. I found myself at my computer at home, staring at a blank computer for 5 hours until he came into the room and like, are you okay? Asking me, looking at me crazy. And I said, I was just crying, bawling, didn't answer back. I remember it so vivid. And I said, I don't think I can go on. This is not okay. I was keeping everything inside. I wasn't even praying at that point. I didn't even, and I knew better because I was raised very spiritually as growing up. And, a lot of us shun away from it as kids, right? And we're like, what does mom want us to do? Or, but praying began that day. And I said, please just show me what I need to do. Show me what is best, because I can't do this anymore. And it came in a form of my mom calling and saying, you can't do this anymore. She didn't know what was going on. I never shared it with my family, but she knew.
Yeah.
She knew her daughter wasn't okay. And I said, Mom, there's no there's no other way. I don't see it. She goes, trust me, you need to get rid of that job because you can't do it all. And you need to focus on you and your family and just breathe. And I
Right.
was okay. I ended up less than a couple of months later, I was done with law enforcement. It brought me to, see some things in my family that needed to be fixed. And I was still, putting into them, but all along putting little things in place for spiritual guidance. Praying was one of them. And I will never forget the time that I came and I said, enough is enough, my relationship is over, is I said, please show me in one of my prayers, please show me that it's okay to let go. That it's okay that I failed this marriage. And a friend called and had an issue. And it was probably that night, I want to say, if not the next night. And she said, Cindy, she said, probably, I told her very surface level that I was unhappy and what was going on. And she said, Cindy, you need to stop praying that it's okay for you to leave. You need to stop praying that you failed your marriage. Nobody failed. You learned from it, right? You're going to learn from it. Yeah. But you're not happy and you need to be able to let go. And it's not even his fault. Right. Don't blame anybody. Because God doesn't blame anybody.
No, and no one's perfect. And that's the thing is I think we put so much pressure on ourselves that we have to have it all together. We have to do everything from A to Z perfectly. And the reality is that we will never reach perfection until, in my opinion, you're in the arms of Jesus and you've arrived, because he was the only one that actually was the perfect man for me, obviously, to keep my eye on, that would never leave me or forsake me. He would always be beside me. And he doesn't judge us. So why should we judge ourselves? So we have that unconditional love and the unconditional forgiveness. And so there's not mistakes, there's lessons, like you said, which is so important to remember, that there's, sometimes that we have to go through something to learn the lesson, because, and I always say, be careful that you don't ask for it often, because you might have to do it more than once to get the job done. So be careful what you ask for, because he will provide that challenge for you. So that is incredible. So if someone was going through a similar situation, what advice would you give to them to set themselves free?
Don't hold it inside. Don't try to handle it all on your own. I was not a fan of putting anybody in my circle into my business or telling them that was going on. But if I had to look back, I would have reached out to somebody not in my immediate circle for help to guide me. Because one, it's going to relieve so much off of you, the load off of your shoulders. And you're going to be able to see clearly to get the guidance of where to go next and what to do. Even though there's going to be roadblocks, it might be derails and whatever, but at least you can clear your mind a little better to see what's in front of you instead of it all cloudy in front of you.
Yeah. One of the things that I have always done, and this may or may not work for everybody, but I am a journaler, journal, because I feel like once I put it on paper, it's almost like this purging process for me, that I've written it down. I've said, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm done with this issue. It's done. And I move on. And I know for me and many people that journal, it's like a therapeutic process to being set free, because we're obviously just, like you said, purging it and getting it out of your system. So that's awesome. So then you birthed Me First Now. Tell people about Me First Now, because I want to obviously give you an opportunity for people to follow you. That's for you that are listening. I want you to know that that's how I found Cindy. I was actually cruising through Facebook and I saw all these amazing quotes from this woman. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these are incredible. I need to know this woman. And then I come to find out we're in the same company and I didn't put 1 + 1 together to equal 2. And here we are. And then we have mutual friends. So again, you talk about God's divine intervention of putting people together in community. Here we are. And here is Cindy with Me First Now.
Divine timing, divine intervention, whatever you want to call it, but it was all of the above. But super powerful because I think we're going to do great things and help so many people.
Yes.
But yeah, me First Now actually started with a bottle and me going to a beach in Miami, Florida, and me throwing a bunch of limiting beliefs. And when I tell you 500 went into that bottle and it was a stuffed bottle.
Wow.
I would write and write and write and write. And then I'd be at peace for a minute and just look at the water. And I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot this. By the end of it, I probably was at the beach all day. And it was literally over 500 little things of limiting beliefs I had to let go of. And I said, I'm done. I feel so much better, but I knew it wasn't over, right? That was just the first series.
Exactly. Well, they say another level, another devil. So, you're going to need to be putting those in at each level, right? Because you're going to be hit differently.
Exactly. And I knew in the beginning, like I said earlier, it was a process. It was a time process. So every time I started feeling something new, because you're peeling the layers, right? I peeled my first layer back and got rid of those limiting beliefs. And then, a week or a month later, and I just kept doing that. And so, and I continued to do that because if we stop doing it, we're not growing. And so my journey with Me First Now was one of those layers. And I said, okay, I'm ready. I have so much love to give, but also feedback on how to limit the time you have to spend in doing some of the things, navigating through life. And so when Me First Now came out a couple years ago, about 2.5 years ago, I decided I wanted to formulate how to make this journey easier for women and how to navigate through their current relationship. Is it salvageable? What can I do? But more than that, I could do that at a certain level, but I needed to peel back the layers of her. Wow. And I needed to go back. And I'm all about no child left behind. Yeah. Woman left behind, right? I was super big advocate for my kids in school. So I use that always into Me First Now is no one gets left behind, but no woman is going to get left behind. Now we're going to figure it out. We're going to go backwards and we're going to figure out where we went wrong or where we were detoured temporarily and put you back right on track and move forward with the power of being that confident woman that you were meant to be, that you have inside of you. It's just dormant and we need to awaken it and move forward and get you on the right track. And if it's with that partner, fantastic. If it's not, let's move on. Let's open up enough space in your life, in your circle, so that whoever is meant to be in there will come and then you can lead with him side by side instead of him dragging you from behind. And so that's where I said, oh, let's do this. I'm ready. Let's empower these women. Let's get going because we can do it together. And then when time comes, if he's bringing a family, I've been there. Yes. I merged families successfully, and I can help women merge your bonus family successfully. And actually I do couple coaching. So I want to talk to the family, but I want to talk to your partner, and we're going to merge those families together to be one solid unit going first day, rather than waiting and having all of these issues come up and knowing how to navigate them as things will come up. So that's how Me First Now came about and what we do.
Well, hallelujah. That's awesome. So this is amazing. I'm so grateful to have you, Cindy. And thank you, all of you, for listening, for setting yourself free. And to learn more about my book, coaching, courses, and retreats, go to katy-huff.com. That is my website. Again, it's katy-huff.com to learn more about the book, coaching, women's retreats, and courses. And please, if I could ask you, follow us on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. And then we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram, and we are on, I think there's another one. There's got to be another one. Apple, Spotify, Rumble. We're all there because we don't want you to miss out on any episode. I just want to thank you all for tuning in, thanking Cindy Soto and me first now. And this is not the last time you're going to hear from this woman, I promise you. And I just want to say thank you, Cindy, for sharing your story, sharing your heart, and empowering and encouraging women to be, do, and have all that they were created to be, and be setting themselves free.
Thank you, Miss Katy, for having me on.
Thanks, honey. God bless you.